Josh Ellis with sgrtoday.com joins us, where he is the political reporter for that website. Check it out, by the way. Thanks for being on the show.
Good to be here.
Yeah, you were covering this budget just like the rest of us. I want to ask you, the cuts in the bill, the budget bill that Republicans are proposing, how big are they, relatively speaking?
Well, they're about 800 million if you don't count the whole highway patrol transfer, less than the governor recommended. The Republicans think this is a right sizing of government. This is appropriate given the amount of revenue, but certainly the Democrats would love to see less cuts and more revenue, specifically a sales tax increase extension.
There's far more people watching this than were ever sitting in that meeting where the committee was rolling out the House budget. You're saying the Highway Patrol was moved out of highway transportation funding and into the general tax
It used to be
fund.
funded with the Highway Trust Fund, and part of the logic behind putting it in the budget and making it through the general fund is you have more control over it. You maybe have better management of the budget. What it does do, there's a lot of talk about how many jobs are lost, and it kind of skews that number, because if you look at the total budget, it says roughly 420 some, I think, added jobs next fiscal year. But there's, 2,400 that are coming over from the Highway Patrol, so it really throws that number off.
I want to ask you about that, because the Republican spin is they funded all these teacher jobs and there won't be as many layoffs of actual people, though there will be some. The Democrats are quoting 5 figures in terms of layoffs, 12 to 15,000 people here and there. Which is it? Who do we need to, I won't say believe, but where do you lean on this?
Well, I think the right answer is somewhere in the middle. Certainly, the Republicans have protected teacher positions, but the teaching assistants, there's several thousand positions you're talking about there. And a lot of the other cuts in terms of the local districts getting flexibility to manage cuts, this has been done by Democrats in years past too, so this is not something new that Republicans have come up with. It does give the schools the ability to determine where those funds should be cut from in the most appropriate way, but it also doesn't point out, hey, here's where the thing's going to be cut. So it does hide that in a way. And a lot of Democrats are basically saying this is going to translate to people. We've cut enough waste and expense as it is already.
So if I understand what you're saying correctly, the budget bill may not necessarily cut a job at the local level, but permission will be given to local governments to cut where these boards and agencies see fit. Therefore, layoffs could come from your local bosses, not from the state.
Right, and the other thing to point out is you wouldn't even see that in the budget bill as it is, because it is state money, but it's a local hire. So that stuff has never been included in the budget before, and it kind of makes it difficult to figure out as you're working through the budget.
So if this budget bill passes, if you're a local government employee or school teacher, school employee, look to your local leadership to see what they decide.
Yeah, that's going to be, and they could have the option of maybe raising property taxes or coming up with some other. Property taxes is really their only choice when it comes to finding more revenue, but that is one option, or they could have to make those cuts as well.
Over 100 amendments were considered by the House Appropriations Committee. Did anything move the needle in terms of fundamentals of this budget bill?
The one thing I think was interesting to see, the general government budget had closed down a lot of museums, and you did see that bill revived, or that language restored in the bill that would have kept some of those old history museums open. A lot of the argument being that, hey, the 150th anniversary of the Civil War is next year. There'll be a lot of tourism coming to North Carolina.
All right, Josh. Next week they'll begin debating this bill on the full House floor.
And this is just the first lap, and many times around the track.
And we hope you'll come back and keep the seat warm for us, share your expertise here on Legislative Week in Review.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, Josh.